It's your girl Kid Cactus, and today we've got some give me a high five, spanking new Destiny 2 news, courtesy of the Bungie weekly update that has just gone live, revealing official information. And so, can you say, let's get started?
Yeah, get started.
Okay, let's get started. And first things first, what's been going on this week for Destiny 2? Well, at the Tuesday weekly reset, a couple of important things happened. First of all, we got a patch where Bungie nerfed some of the most powerful builds within the game. For example, the Wishful Ignorance Flechette Storm Strand Titan build got a pretty big nerf, and Grapple Melee was also targeted. If you guys want to know all of those key changes, I already did a video breaking down this patch that is linked right up above. But overall, the community reaction to the Titan stuff was pretty negative. People are saying, look, this is the first time in quite a while the Strand Titan was in the spotlight, and it's already kind of nuked back down. Now, thankfully, there's a lot of other really powerful Titan builds within the game, but nothing quite on the DPS levels of that. Now, as for the Grapple Melee build, the funny part is that, and I said this in the video, they nerfed the power of strand grenades within Atheon, but if you're playing a hunter, the combination blow changes it to an arc, melee, changes it to arc damage. And so after this nerf happened, people are already posting videos on Twitter of them still one-shotting Atheon within the end of the Vault of Glass raid. So yeah, I would expect something else coming down the pipeline to target that Grapple Melee at some point. It is pretty crazy right now. But on top of that, guys, we also got a new permanent modifier within portal activities, and you can see it right here. It gives a 5% bonus to your overall score. So if you are going in and grinding the portal activities for Solstice gear, especially those juicy tier 5s, or if you're below 400, tier 4s, like constantly, are still very valuable, you might be able to take off, one or two modifiers and still achieve that A rating. So definitely keep that in mind. But moving on from there to the brand new information within the TWID. Now, the first thing Bungie mentions is that it's the final week of the Solstice event, and oh man, I'm gonna miss it. I mean, Solstice has been incredibly juicy, giving everyone +1 tier compared to what they normally get, and if you luck out and get a holofoil, it's +2 tiers, so people in the 300s will just randomly get tier 5 loot, saving them, like hundreds of hours of grinding to where they would normally get that loot. Like, it has just been fantastic, and there's a bit of a worry that people are gonna get used to the game actually heaping out rewarding loot, and then when Solstice goes away, it's gonna get pretty depressing going back to what things were. Hopefully though, people can use Solstice to help them level up. You're getting just way more loot in general, and then they can be, in the 400s or in a position where they can start getting better loot in general. So definitely has been a very, very important and good event. Moving on from there, Warlock mains, you're gonna be smiling today because the brunt of this update is just going over a ton of buffs coming to Warlocks. So Bungie says Warlocks and their space magic abilities, we're seeing some great usage of Warlock constructs such as Child of the Old Gods, Bleakwatcher, Hellion Arc Soul, etc. And they say, in the near future, we're planning to enable deeper build crafting with these constructs. Additionally, a few builds are starting to stand out, like the Prismatic build leveraging Lightning Surge to effectively delete champions at a moment's notice. That build was part of my video that came out before the Edge of Fate, talking about the builds you're going to want to use in the Edge of Fate. That video aged unbelievably well. I also talk about the Hoyle Cinerachne Hunter and the Liar's Hunter. Like, it's crazy, guys. While we're happy with how players are building into the above abilities, we're also seeing feedback and working on a handful that aren't felt to be as potent. This limits variety in build crafting, and we're looking to address that. A few strand abilities don't shine as brightly as we wish, and a handful of exotics need bug fixes. And we're aware that players desire more grenade-centric builds to feel powerful in endgame content. While some of the above will take time to address, we're planning a tuning pass for Ash and Iron, also known as Major Update 9.1.0, coming in early September. I believe it's September 9th. And they say we are still testing these changes and finalizing how everything should work, so some things may shift, but these are our list of the first steps in helping Warlocks feel a bit more a love for their space magic. Hunters, Titans, don't fret. We'll be back in the next few weeks to discuss more changes coming. You won't be left out. Overall, this is a good move in my opinion, just because like the most powerful builds are Titan and Hunter. Well, Titan before the nerf of the Wishful Ignorance. It's still incredibly good now. Check out my Bonk Hammer build if you haven't seen that. Like, it was trash up until just last week when Bungie made a fix to how Hammer behaves. It's crazy good right now. But regardless, guys, here is what is happening to Warlocks. Again, coming with Ash and Iron on September 9th. First of all, for abilities, Empowering Rift, the class ability, standing in Empowering Rift now generates grenade, melee, and class ability energy over time. So getting more damage and more ability energy is kind of crazy. Final blows while standing in Empowering Rift now generate bonus, special, and heavy ammo progress. Alright, Empowering Rift, we might need to be running it coming in Ash and Iron. Then the Weave Walk, which is a strand aspect. Exiting Weave Walk now grants Woven Mail for you and nearby allies. Huge buff there. The duration is relative to the time spent in Weave Walk. Again, this is crazy already. Increased horizontal movement on enter and exit, and increased fragment slots from 2 to 3. Massive buff there, like a guaranteed apply Woven Mail button for the Warlock. Moving on from there, Weaver's Call, which is a strand and prismatic aspect, now generates Roosted Threadling progress when giving damage of any type. Threadling damage now returns class ability energy, so you can use your Weaver's Call more often, and then works on all threadling damage while the aspect is equipped. Wow, okay, so moving on from there, Frost Pulse. Now this is a stasis aspect. Freezing enemies now generates class ability energy, works on all stasis freezes while this aspect is equipped. So that's certainly not sounding as powerful as Weave Walk, but, you know, it's going to let you spam your Frost Pulse and have that, like, AoE freeze around you a lot more often. Moving on from there, Pocket Singularity, this is Void and Prismatic, now has 2 charges at base. That's already a massive buff, like just getting an extra charge of melee. Projectile lifetime increased from 1.1 to 2 seconds, so nearly doubled. Reworked projectile tracking to favor closest to initial trajectory. Reduced detonation kickback on players by 50%, so definitely a nerf for the PvP side of things, but also massive buffs all around. After that, guys, we have a buff to the Ionia, or however you say it, the exotic Warlock gauntlets that came with the Edge of Fate that buff Hellion. So here's what they're doing. Increased projectile damage at max range from plus 15% to plus 20%. They've tuned the distance to damage curve to make the maximum damage distance easier to identify. They've increased projectile tracking by 40%, and in addition to the primary projectile, the sub-projectiles now benefit from Ember of Ashes and Ember of Eruption. Overall, I don't think this is enough to make these meta. I think they'd have to return class ability energy or like more often or something like that to really be able to constantly spam Hellion, or I don't know, but that is definitely going to make them a little bit better. Moving on from there, guys, for abilities, general, they've just increased the damage versus combatants for Threadlings by 20%, and this should apply to every single class. So every weapon with Hatchling, every ability that spawns Threadlings, that's 20% more damage in PvE. That's that's something. Moving on from there, they also talk about upcoming fixes, specifically to a bunch of Warlock exotics. So, for the Starfire Protocol, we confirmed an issue where Starfire Protocol was not returning as much energy as expected on empowered hits. We've fixed this issue, raising it to the intended 5%, with the fix deploying in 9.0.0.7. So this is going to come before Ash and Iron. In fact, if I'm looking at the previous patch, that was 9.0.0.6. So this could come like this upcoming Tuesday, which is great. Starfire Protocol is already a very good and kind of meta build for the Warlock, and right now it's only giving, I think, around 2.5% off of, damaging enemies with your radiant weapons. Going up to 5% is actually a pretty big buff, so get your Starfire Protocol builds ready if you haven't. After that, for the Crown of Tempests exotic helmet, we're continuing to investigate an issue where Crown of Tempests no longer grants stacks on multi-kills. We're aiming to have a fix when Renegades goes live, so that's going to be in December, unfortunately. The Rhymecoat Raiment exotic chest piece, we're continuing to investigate an issue where the Rhymecoat Raiment generated stasis crystals inconsistently. Apply Devour when Feed the Void is active. We believe we're honing in on a fix and are looking to have a fix for when Renegades goes live as well. Boots of the Assembler exotic legs. We've confirmed an issue where the Boots of the Assembler's noble rounds won't work on a teammate that enters the Warlock's Rift. A fix will be deployed in 9.1 with Ash and Iron. Then Wings of Sacred Dawn. After investigating reports about Wings of Sacred Dawn, we've concluded that we missed a patch note with the Edge of Fate's release. It is intended that Wings no longer reloads your equipped weapon, as this led to some problematic behaviors around single-shot magazine weapons such as bows. Alright, then for the Controverse Hold. We've received reports that this doesn't return energy as expected, and after an investigation, we believe this to be true, specifically with some combatants in the firing range only. We're looking to update the firing range combatants in a future update. So they're saying, yeah, it's broken in the firing range, but outside the firing range, it should still work, which is interesting. Then lastly, Nezarec's Sin. We saw reports of the regeneration buff no longer working during multi-kill streaks, and believe this may have been resolved in 9.0.0.5 alongside the fix to the sprint bug, and we're going to be keeping an eye for future reports. Alright, so overall, there are certainly some big buffs here. I mean, the Empowering Rift buff giving you ability energy, Weave Walk giving you Woven Mail, and Pocket Singularity, those absolutely stand out as being significantly better, with Ash and Iron. However, is that enough? Are you going to make a melee build around Pocket Singularity? Probably not, but maybe would you switch to it in an existing build? Maybe, right? So we're gonna have to wait and see. What do you guys think about these changes if you are a Warlock main? Moving on from there, guys, they talk about Crucible power and rewards. So they say last week we talked about some of the changes we're working on, and then they say earlier this week we shipped Destiny 2 Update 0.0.6 with a handful of changes targeting post-match rewards frequencies, in addition to raising the reward floor to have less disparity between low and high skill. So here is what they changed. Everyone in a match now has a chance to earn an additional role as opposed to one player per team. The competitive playlist weapon, so Solemn Remembrance, has a chance to drop on completion instead of wins only. Then they've lowered the B grade score threshold for reward ranks Copper and Bronze, so that's power 10 to 300. Makes it easier to earn bonus drops when you're playing PvP. They've increased the gear tier for B+ at reward ranks Bronze and Silver, so that's 200 to 400. They say we have made more changes coming in update 9.1.0, so that's with Ash and Iron, and we are making Crucible Ops more rewarding for all players, along with targeted adjustments to early power bands. So they are increasing bonus drop frequency when playing Crucible Ops. They're increasing the amount of score earned on losses. they're retuning score thresholds for all grades at rewards copper and bronze, so power 10 to 300, to make earning higher power and gear tier more consistent. They're increasing the highest potential gear tier at rewards copper, bronze, and silver, so that's 10 to 400, and increasing the power adjusters for PvP for 10 to 300. We're definitely not stopping with the Crucible and have more PvE reward changes coming in the future, including the Desert Perpetual raid. Thank goodness. Moving on from there, they just have a section on some scorching savings in the Bungie store if you're interested there. On top of that, guys, they have the Bungie Foundation supporting the Ronald McDonald House charities, and you can see the information right now. And they also say you can donate $25 today to this worthy cause to snag this brand new emblem that I am showing right here, guys. So obviously that's linked in the TWID, which is linked in the description of this video. And that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.